Hello students, welcome to AriserTalent. As you know, we are studying very important chapter, heredity and evolution. In my previous lecture, I told you about the evidence of evolution. Okay, in that I told you about the morphological evidences. Now we are going to talk about paleontological evidences. What is paleontology? First of all, we will talk about the paleontology. What is paleontology? Paleontology means the study of fossils. What is paleontology? Study of fossils. Okay, this is known as paleontology. Now, what are fossils? Fossils, hope you all have studied in the previous classes also. Fossils means the remains of dead plants and animals which were accumulated or which were preserved in the sedimentary rocks. These are known as fossils. So, what are fossils? What are fossils? Fossils means the petrified remains or impressions of dead remains of plants and animals preserved in sedimentary rocks. Okay, so what are fossils? Fossils means petrified remains or impressions of dead plants and animals which are preserved in the sedimentary rocks. So, here already I have mentioned remains. So, here we can remove remains. Okay, dead plants and animals, we can mention dead plants and animals because already I have mentioned remains here. So, what are the fossils? Fossils means the remains of dead plants and animals which are preserved in the sedimentary rocks. These are known as fossils, and when we study about these fossils, then this is known as paleontology. Fine. Now, we are going to talk about how these fossils are formed. How these fossils are formed? Now, we are going to talk about how these fossils are formed. Okay, so here we can see, we can start from this upper image. Once upon a time means 100 million years ago. We are talking about the 100 million years ago. Okay, when the invertebrates were found on the seabed. Okay, then they died there and then they died here on the seabed. Later on, slowly the sand get accumulated there and then they were found here in the as a dead remains. Fine, and slowly what happens? Slowly the sand get accumulated here and it formed the layers. Fine, after many years, means after hundreds years or after millions years later on, the dinosaurs were vertebrates. These were invertebrates. Fine, they were present on the seabed, they died and then they buried there in the seabed only. Fine, then the sand get accumulated there and then they converted into the fossils. Fine, here we can see after the millions year later, after million year or we can mention hundreds year, dinosaurs appeared. Okay, dinosaurs were vertebrates. Fine, so when these were present there, then again they died there on the seabed. Fine, what happened? Then they were present or they buried there on the just upper layer of these fossils. Which fossils? They were invertebrates. Fine. So when these dinosaurs get died, they were buried here and formed a layer just about the layer of these fossils or these invertebrate fossils. Fine. Then here we can see that we can find these fossils of the dinosaurs here in this picture. Fine. After many years, horse appeared there. Fine. When the horse was died here in the on the seabed. Fine. What happened? Then again the dead body, means the dead body of this horse was again buried here in the seabed. First layer is of invertebrates, second layer is of vertebrates. Okay. Then again these horse, when these were died, they get buried on the upper layer of these dinosaurs. Fine. Again what will happen? The sand will be accumulated, slowly they will form the layers of fossils. Fine. Here we can see in the last picture, we can see that these are the layers of fossils which are present in the layer of soil or layer of earth. Fine. So this is the formation of fossils. How the fossils are formed? Fossils are formed by the accumulation of sand when these plants or animals get died. Okay. At that place, when the remains of their dead bodies are present there, and when the sand get accumulated on these dead bodies, then they convert into the fossils. Fine. So this is all about the formation of fossils. Now we will talk about how do we come to know that fossils are formed. What are the methods to identify these fossils? So there are different methods. One is relative method, another is radioactive method, and third is carbon method. Okay. So here let me mention method of determination of fossils. What are they? Relative method, then radioactive, and third is carbon method. So these are the different methods by which we can identify the age of the fossil. Fine. If we talk about relative method, so if we dig soil from a particular place and if we found the fossil on the upper layer itself, fine, as we dig the soil, and when we find the fossils very nearby of the digging area, fine, then these can determine that the fossils are formed very nearly. Okay. So, but as we will dig the soil continuously and we find the fossils in the deeper layer of the soil, then thus we can find that the fossils are very old, because these are formed very early in the age, means these were found or these were formed in the longer time back. Okay. So, thus we can say that the relative method means when we dig the soil of a particular area, then if we find the fossils in the nearby layer of the digging soil, then these define the age of the fossils. Fine. Okay, so we will talk about them in the details now. Relative method. What is relative method? As I explained you, that if we dig the soil, okay, what is relative method? If we dig the earth, and start finding fossils. If we dig the earth and start finding fossils, then these are what? These proves that the fossils are recent. Okay. So, if we dig the earth and start finding fossils, it proves is supposed that the fossils we find near to the surface are the recent than the fossils we find in deeper layer. Fine. So this is the relative method of determining the age of the fossil. Fine. Next we talk about radioactive method. So age of the fossil is determined by the radioactive element like uranium. Next is radioactive method. What is radioactive method? The age of the fossil is determined by using radioactive element The age of the fossil is determined by the using radioactive element like uranium. Okay. So which is generally present where? Which is present in the sedimentary rock, like uranium present in the sedimentary rock. Fine. Hope you know what are sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks, when the one by one layers are formed one above the other, these are known as sedimentary rocks. Okay. And next is carbon dating. The third method is to determine the age of the fossil, that is carbon dating. What is carbon dating? As we know that whatever the carbon dioxide is present in the air, it contains C14. What? That is the radioactive. It contains the radioactive carbon dioxide present in the air has radioactive carbon, that is C14 has radioactive carbon, that is C14. Okay. So as we all know, these carbon dioxide is used during the process of photosynthesis. Now what happens actually, we must say that when the this radioactive carbon is reduced, okay, so it generally becomes in the organism, when it is reduced, it generally becomes half of it, means we must say it becomes 5,600 years. Okay, but when we found a fossil there in the sedimentary rock, and if this the amount of this radioactive carbon, means C14, is just 1/4 of the actual amount, means C14. Okay, so what is that? We determine the age that it may be 11,200 years old, means the fossil is 11,200 years old. Okay, so this is all about the carbon dating. Now we will talk about the evolutions which are caused by the humans. Okay, so next we will talk about the evolution of wild master domestication. What is that? Even I must say human evolution, or I must say ki evolution which are evolution by stages. Okay. Next topic is evolution by stages. what actually happens that the men choose the plant or whatever he wants, he has some utilize, or I must say that he has selected some methods to make the things more benefit for him, and these methods are known as artificial methods. Fine. So here this is the result of artificial selection. What is artificial selection? When the human choose the characteristics of a trait which are useful to him, or which are useful to get some beneficial traits or to get some beneficial characters of a plant, that are known as artificial selection. Fine. So here we can see that the man has used this artificial selection method to improve the quality of the plant. So what are the characteristics on which he has chosen this artificial selection? First of all, if we talk about then selection of leaves, what are the characters? Selection of leaves. Okay, then selection of flower bud. Here we can see this is the flower bud. So on the basis of flower bud, on the basis of size of flower bud, he has chosen the cauliflower. Selection for stem. So he has taken kohlrabi. On the basis of selection of flower buds, here he has chosen broccoli. On the selection for terminal buds, he has chosen cabbage, and selection for roots, he has chosen turnips. So we can say that the humans have brought the evolution. How he has brought the evolution? By choosing some special characteristics. Fine. He has made it what? He has made it more useful for him, and this method is known as artificial selection. So first of all, we will talk about artificial selection. Artificial selection. What is artificial selection? Selection of some special characteristics which are more useful. Fine. Selection of traits which are more beneficial. Okay, so this is known as artificial selection, and generally humans do it. Here we can see the evolution of the wild mustard, that these are the different characteristics. On the basis of these characteristics, to get more benefits, he means human being has chosen the different characteristics of plant to get the better breed or to get the better trait. Fine. So these, in this lecture we studied about what? We studied about the fossils. Okay, we studied about the formation of fossils, we studied how can we determine the age of the fossils, and we studied about the artificial evolution. Thank you.